Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, this is going to be my thoughts about the Sentinel rework and whether or not I think it's successful or not. And overall, yeah, just to answer the title of the video, yeah, I think it was successful overall. There are some downsides of it, but overall, they have achieved their goal of making Sentinel not a piece of shit, and I'm really happy about it. I've played a bunch of different Sentinels now. I played all three masteries. I played them in high budget scenarios. I played them in low budget scenarios. And let me tell you, it is so much better than before. Like playing a Sentinel now versus playing a Sentinel then, it actually feels like you're playing a real mastery instead of playing a joke, which is amazing. You can actually play Forge Guard and not laugh yourself out the room. You could actually play Void Knight and actually get tanky. You could play a Paladin and actually deal damage. It's great. Everything is finally fixed for the most part for Sentinel. Now, the only problem is so Sentinel's good only if you look at it from a vacuum perspective. If you look at it from a comparative perspective of the other masteries, it's not as good still. Like, it's still better than what it was, but it's not the best thing ever. But that's just because EHG hasn't been really doing a good job balancing and everything else looks busted as fuck. So that's not Sentinel's fault. That's more like the rest of the game's fault. So I'm really not going to take it as a negative for Sentinel because Falconer is overpowered as balls or whatever, right? Let's ignore all of that. Sentinel in a vacuum, it's really good now. It's much better. Now, if you don't know why Sentinel got a rework, it's because Volatile Reversal was a skill that was utilized to make your Sentinel build actually do damage. And the problem is that's very bad to have one single skill be the entire pivot point of an entire class. There should be no reason I click one button and triple my damage. That's awful. So thankfully they finally removed Volatile Reversal from the game and they replaced it with whatever skill it is now. We will talk about that. And then they buffed the passive trees for Sentinel, and they also buffed the skills for Sentinel for the most part. One problem I have is if the skill that you're using didn't get touched, you're kind of shit out of luck a little bit. I will say when they changed and buffed Sentinel, they didn't give love to everything. There are certain things that didn't get touched, which made them worse because of that fact, because they didn't get touched while also getting Volatile Reversal removed. Like a good example is, I believe that, there was a Javelin setup where, you just summon a bunch of javelins that have damage over time pools on it, like Holy Trail Javelin. That build isn't really a build anymore. You used to be able to play that, and now you can't because Volatile Reversal gave it too much damage, and they didn't buff it or anything like that. They should probably buff it now to actually make it, competitive with the other sources of damage. Cool. Yeah, so pretty much the things that got touched are doing really well, and the things that didn't get touched are doing okay or mediocre or just don't exist at all, which is unfortunate, but it's just how it is. That's just how strong Volatile Reversal was it took a few skills and actually made them do enough damage to be functional. So yeah, let's talk about what I feel about the passive tree revamp. So if you don't know, the passive trees got revamped a bunch, unless you're Forge Guard. Both Paladin and Void Knight got huge changes to their passive trees. Paladin got a lot of support for damage to deal damage to make up for the Volatile Reversal removal, right? Which ends up making them actually feel really good. While Void Knight got some tankiness upgrades as well. They got a whole node that converts damage into Void and makes them take less damage from Void damage, which is amazing, especially when paired with stuff like Ravenous Void and stuff like that. You can get very tanky as a Void Knight now, which is great, and you can actually deal damage as a Paladin. They actually fixed those two problems. Now they actually feel as though they have their own identity as well. There's a huge difference between playing a Paladin versus playing a Void Knight now. It doesn't feel as though one or the other is just a purple version or a yellow version. Now it actually feels as though there's a huge difference between them. I can play Forge Guard without hating myself. Turns out having a node that allows you to run a shield while also having a two-handed weapon, that's very strong. It's actually very good. It turns out it's very good to be able to run a shield while also having a two-handed weapon. And one of the main reasons for this is it's very future-proof. Sentinel's future, or at least Forge Guard's future, is pretty much set. They add more unique shields and more unique two-handed weapons. Forge Guard gets better every single time they add one that isn't even remotely usable for him. It gets better and better and better. So in the future, as they add more, like Forge Guard will get better and better and better. So that's cool, right? I don't think that the downsides of the node are like that good. I feel like as though you should either have the less damage or the less attack speed. I think the less attack speed feels better. I think you'd rather just have that. I don't think you need both, but whatever. Like, you know, it's not my boat, right? Being able to be tanky is great, while also having a two-handed weapon, it just feels really good. Now, whether or not it's actually good, I don't know. Maybe we'll leave this honeymoon phase and realize it's not that good. But right now, it feels pretty good to run a two-handed shield. I mean, a two-handed weapon with a shield. Yeah, those are my thoughts about the passives. The main thing I want to point out here, like I said, is the identity of Sentinel feels a lot better. Like, it feels like as though you're playing a Sentinel. Before, it felt like you're playing a wet tissue that did no damage. Now you actually feel like as though you're playing an unstoppable juggernaut or whatever, right? Like the theming is there now. The feel of the class is there now. Also, as well, before we move on from the passives, them getting a lot of crit chance is really nice, because back in the day, a long time ago, if you didn't know, Lunge used to give like 240% crit chance if you used it recently. And this was a big pet peeve of mine, was they removed that crit chance from Lunge tree and they just didn't give it back, which made Sentinel really bad for a long time, especially for crit. That was a lot of crit to lose to make it like non-functional, right? But they gave us crit in the form of passives on the passive tree. They gave us base crit. They gave us crit and sigils. So crit's way better now, and you can actually play a crit Sentinel and not hate yourself and not hate your gearing process. No longer do you need to run like copper rings with like T7 crit chance on them anymore. Like, you can actually play Sentinel and not have to like bend over backwards just to crit cap, which is great. Now let's talk about skills. Volatile Reversal. The Volatile Reversal rework sucks dick. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, Sentinel's good and all. Like, we love Sentinel. Cool, right? Volatile Reversal sucks massive donkey cock. Let me tell you. Oh my goodness. So you have a 4-second cooldown skill with a 200% added damage effectiveness, right? That can be used twice. So let's say 400% added damage effectiveness in, like, 4 seconds. And then, of course, you can scale that cooldown recovery speed. Literally no damage modifiers on the tree, barely any more damage modifiers on the tree. And it also doesn't scale with attack speed. If you don't know, the teleport animation of Volatile Reversal does not scale with attack speed. I'm really starting to think, did they just like call up Jonathan and they're like, hey, we really like the skill design in Path of Exile 2. Rolling Slam, we're a fan. Can we have that in our game too? Like, Volatile Reversal is Last Epoch's version of Rolling Slam, and I don't know how I feel about that. Now, the Devouring Orb synergy is really good, but it's only good because Devouring Orb is good. If Devouring Orb wasn't good, the Devouring Orb synergy wouldn't be good, so that doesn't make Volatile Reversal good now, does it? So yeah, I don't know. It's a pet peeve of mine, because I personally think that if you're going to have a skill that does damage, like, they could have just made Volatile Reversal deal no damage. They could have ignored all of its damage capabilities. They could have just made it utility only, and I'd been fine with it. But since they made it deal damage and they gave it nodes inside of its tree to deal damage, it should probably do that. Deal damage, right? Like, I don't like this half-ass, like, wishy-washy thing where, like, oh yeah, it does damage. Like Lunge, a good example. Lunge, it does damage. It has nodes to deal damage, but does it actually deal damage, especially in this day and age where every boss has like 50 billion HP? No, it doesn't. Now, like, how would I like to see it change? Well, if they're really gonna roll with what we currently have, just make it have an actual added damage effectiveness. Like, I think it could have like 800% added damage effectiveness, and it still wouldn't be terrible. Like, it would still be terrible, right? So, like, maybe work on that a little bit. Maybe actually make it deal damage. Who knows? Now, the Javelin changes were cool. I really enjoyed that. being able to split off the projectiles when you do the rain down javelin makes rain down javelin very good. Javelin back then was okay. It was like an okay build, but now it's a really good build now. Javelin feels good to play. It feels fun to play. You can make it rain down. You can play electrify. You can play bleed. You can play crit. You can play smite. You can play all these different versions of it, and it feels really good. The only problem is the diversity of the skill got cut down a few pegs, mainly because Holy Trail got axed with the removal of Volatile Reversal. Like, you can try to play Holy Trail, but it's nowhere near as good now. I can promise you that. And also as well, just throwing Javelin without the rain down node just sucks. Buff it. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe buff Javelin to have a way higher damage effectiveness, like a 2 to 3 times damage effectiveness, and then make the rain down javelin node, make it do like 30% less damage or something. Something like that. The singular javelin setup where you throw one javelin and it splits off, that setup is awful. And I don't know why they persist to do that. Like, they want, like, insist to do that. I don't know why they want that to be the case, but throwing one singular javelin to do damage sucks. Please buff it. I don't know why. At that point, then Javelin would actually be a perfect skill. It'd be great, right? Whatever, who cares? Next skill, Shield Throw. Shield Throw is actually seeing play. The buffs to Shield Throw made it actually a functioning skill in society. It's actually fun to use. It actually ekes out Hammer Throw now with certain setups, like the throwing flat damage setup with Stygian's Reprisal. Stygian's Reprisal isn't a piece of shit, but that's only because they added an idol that gives you a lot of damage reflect now. So that's cool. Shield Throw actually being utilized, and I'm sure there will be some fun ailment versions that I could play eventually. So Shield Throw overall, way better than it was. Like, I'm really happy about Shield Throw currently. Really, they couldn't have got, like, I don't know, like, Shield Throw could not have gotten worse, so it getting better is great. Shield Rush is actually playable again. They fixed the bug. I'm playing it right now. It feels good to play. You know, you can play ailment, you can play crit, you can play, like, you can play these different versions. It feels good. Feels good to play. Devouring Orb, there was a small mini rework. Devouring Orb with the damage over time stuff. It's like okay. I don't know how you feel about it. Like, they added a damage over time portion, but the damage over time portion doesn't do that much damage per se. That's fine though, because it's always been a utility skill anyways for the most part. There is the node that, like, makes the Giga Devouring Orb, and you play that with Time Rot, but, like, let's be real, Time Rot's not surviving next patch probably, so we can ignore that for now. But yeah, I like the new Devouring Orb. It's fine. The new sigils, I like the fact that they have crit inside the tree now. I like all this healing effectiveness stuff that we get access to. Nobody actually clicks the button. Like, nobody clicks the button to give you the DR for the most part. Like, nobody remembers to actually click the button. I've, like, watched a bunch of people streaming, and I never watched them click the button, and I've watched my footage, and I never click the button unless I do accidentally, and then I curse myself out. Fuck, I clicked the button. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll, like, change sigils one day, but, like, nobody actually clicks the button. Forward Strike is still bad. It's sad. You know, I'm not gonna cry too much about it, but Forward Strike is still bad. Smelters, though, is almost there. With the changes that Smelters got with all of the other stuff, being able to use a two-handed weapon while in Smelter's Wrath, while also having a shield, it's very close. It's not close enough, but it's closer than where it was. And that's good, right? Especially after the Volatile Reversal change, because you really couldn't abuse Volatile Reversals hard while in Smelter's Wrath, so it's not like as if it was that big of a deal to lose it. And the sigil changes are really good for it. And, you know, like I said, being able to run a shield while like, you know, using Smelter's Wrath is really good. It just needs some damage. That's all it really needs, and then it'd be fine. Now, my overall thoughts on Sentinel after all of these changes and stuff like that. Voidwell is going to get removed from the game. There's a lot of degenerate things you can do right now with Voidwell that, you know, people are abusing. It's going to get removed, and if you are surprised that this is going to get removed, you're crazy. Voidwell is really stupid. It allows you to do some really stupid things, and now that the base of Sentinel is way better, right? I don't think we need Void Well, right? There's ways of generating mana on Sentinel. If you don't like it, I don't know, pack your bags. It's just how it is, right? If you don't like the mana spender style, like, I don't know, like, don't play Sentinel. That's just how it is. I think they're going to remove Void Well, man. Like, I'm pretty sure they're going to remove Void Well because it's pretty stupid. Or slap on a longer cooldown, which will essentially remove it from the game, right? Yeah, Void Well's going. Let's be real, Void Well's going. Judgment stacking the aura puddles is fine, although the healing from the aura puddles probably shouldn't stack. I think the damage should stack, but the healing should not stack. You should not be able to be healed by multiple judgment aura puddles at the same time. I feel like this is kind of crazy to be even able to do that. Once they fix that, I'm sure judgment will be fine. I don't think you, like I said, I don't think you should be able to have multiple judgment aura puddles on top of yourself. I feel like that's just kind of insane, having like infinite HP per second. I'm sure that will get removed eventually. I don't want them to remove the damage from it, right? I don't want them to make it so that you can't like stack multiple damage auras. But my problem is when you have infinite healing, that's like a problem, right? Like, that's obviously a problem. It's very obvious. Overall, I think the Sentinel changes were good. Why the fuck does Volatile Reversal suck? Whatever, cool. Everything else is fine. I think there are specific things like multi-strike getting changed is cool, but now you just never not run that node. Like, there's no reason to not run multi-strike with that node. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of these problems where they added a lot of nodes and things like that where, like, it just feels like, why would I ever run that? Why would I ever run a Forge Guard without the two-handed shield node? Why would I ever run a Void Knight without the, damage conversion node? Why would I ever run a Paladin without running Sigils of Hope, right? Like, there's like questions for the future, but like the fact that Sentinel's being played and it's beloved now instead of being in the trash where it was last patch is a good step in the right direction. Now, before Sentinel really sees its prime, the rest of the game needs to get nerfed before Sentinel does. Now, with all that being said, this has been Dread. I'll have to go do something else. Bye.